Hey, welcome back to the Friday show presented by Monmouth Park. Racing back again at Monmouth Park. Friday's Twilight Card, 6 races beginning at 5 o'clock. Saturday, 13 races, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile. First post, 12:15. Don't forget about the early pick 5. It's the first pick 5 of the day in this country. Races 1 to 5, 15% takeout. Last year's average pick 5 payout was $3,725. Sunday, the TVG Pegasus Stakes, featuring, we think, Mandaloon will be there, the Kentucky Derby runner-up, maybe the winner. That's a big prep for the Haskell Invitational in July. I'm Ray Paulick, joined today by Joe Nevills, our bloodstock editor, and for the first time, our weekend editor just joined the team, Jennifer Kelly. Jennifer is, we're going to talk about the Triple Crown, and the reason Jennifer is here is because she wrote a book called Sir Barton and the Making of the Triple Crown.
Yes.
And I understand that you're working on a second book, Jennifer. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes, I am currently working on Foxes of Bel Air, which will cover Gallant Fox and Omaha, and their 2 Triple Crown runs, and introduce some background on William Woodward and how he got involved with all that. So I'm still drafting. So I have a target date for when it will come out, but it all depends on, how fast I can get this written.
Well, listen, a couple of weeks ago, I heard Andy Beyer, the esteemed turf writer, retired now, talking about the Triple Crown on a radio show with Steve Bick, saying they've got to change it. It's just not working anymore. The timing of the races, 2 weeks from the Derby to the Preakness, then 3 weeks to the Belmont. This is the first year in quite some time that we didn't have a horse compete in all 3 races. I tend to agree with Andy. He said they should just wipe the slate clean and come up with something new. I don't agree with that. I don't think we want to see a 1 mile and 1/8 Belmont starting off the Triple Crown like we did during the pandemic. But changing distances a little bit, maybe putting more time between the races, I'm not against it at all.
I'm of 2 schools of thought on this. I have 2 voices whispering into each of my ears. One of them is whispering a little louder, and that's probably the one I'd probably go with here. The Triple Crown is supposed to be hard. Greatness is supposed to be hard. And enough things in horse racing have lowered standards within the past decade or within, very recent history that we need some things where you can put a horse on a pedestal and say, if you achieve this, you are one of the all-time greats. And if we end up lowering the standards and making the Belmont Stakes a shorter race or giving more space between the races, it just doesn't feel like it's going to have the same pop to me. What is it going to matter if 5 horses in a row win the Triple Crown? The reason that horses like, when American Pharoah won it, it mattered so much is because it took so long. We'd had such a long wait between having these big, important moments that it made it feel like something truly special. With that being said, last year we kind of had a taste of what a different Triple Crown schedule would look like, moving around distances, moving around dates. And it was kind of fun having races like the Ohio Derby matter in an extra way beyond the purse, beyond the grade, because it was counting toward Kentucky Derby qualifying points. It's fun to have that kind of summer series that builds up into something and, give these races a little extra oomph and have something to follow over the course of the year. But I don't feel strongly enough about that to not say blow everything up and change it. I like the Triple Crown the way it is.
Okay, I would say with Joe, I have 2 minds about this. I have the historian approach to it, and then I have the fan approach to it. So as a historian, since 1918, when the first horse ran in all 3 races, the races have been on this schedule for the last 103 years. So of those 103 years, we had 37 years where we either had a dual classic winner or a Triple Crown winner. So that's about a third, so 36% of those years. So far more often, you have horses not winning more than one of those races than you do actually winning. So if you change the calendar, then you remove some of that cachet, like Joe was saying. as a fan, I'm also invested in keeping the way it is because that's what I grew up on. And I hate to bring it Baffert's. I know Baffert's kind of a controversial subject right now, but he had Real Quiet and Silver Charm and War Emblem, I believe, and then he hit with Pharaoh and Justify, and he said he learned over the process that the difference was that you have to have an extraordinary horse like Pharaoh to do it. And for some reason between 1978 and 2015, we didn't have that. We had a lot of really great horses. So I'm more of a let's keep it the calendar the way it is, but let's make some tweaks to the process, if that makes sense.
So Joe, you said you don't want to make it too easy, and that seems to be the reaction whenever anybody brings up the change, is that we want to change it to make it easier to win. I want to change it to make it more competitive. Mm-hmm. I want to have the best horses running in all three races. That's not going to make it easier. That's going to probably make it harder. So that's BS to make it easier. You're just wrong. Come on.
I think it's all your definition of who the best horses are. If we're talking about trying to get the best horses for classic distances, then we have to find those horses. Mm-hmm. The purse for the Breeders' Cup Sprint is awfully close to the purse for the Kentucky Derby. If we want to find the best sprinters, go on. God bless you. Go do that. But I think we need to find a way to build a better classic horse. That's what we're looking at here.
It depends on what you want. To me, with the Derby point system, it dilutes the competition because you're only getting horses that can win at those distances. So you don't have that variety. So before, when it was on graded stakes, purse winnings as your qualification for the Derby, you had a bigger variety of horse coming in. So you had sprinters that may not have on the surface seemed to belong, but they at least made for, more interesting competition. So when you instituted the point system, you basically leave out all those horses. You also leave out fillies because fillies don't qualify for the Derby unless they run in a Derby prep race. So for example, if you made those Oaks prep races, I get so many points for this prep. Maybe if you say, okay, well, if you want to run in the Derby, then you can take X number of those points and we can apply it to the Derby if you like. And then maybe you could get some owners who have fillies like Malazat opt to run in the Derby instead. And that way you inject more, competition and a bigger variety of competition into it. So I think that's where we're lagging, is just we have the same horse basically competing against each other because we have Mandaloon and Medina Spirit, blah, 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 and they're all running about the same distance, about the same number of times because they're just trying to qualify to get into the gate. And then after that, it's just whatever. It's like if you inject a little bit more variety into the qualifying end of it, then maybe you get a bigger variety of horse.
Well, I agree that there should be a way for fillies to qualify, the top fillies, without having to race
against boys.
Well, Winning Colors did. She won the Santa Anita Derby, and I don't know Genuine Risk record offhand here, but I do agree with that. As far as letting 2-year-old sprinters into the field, I mean that's for some owner to be able to say, hey, I had the lead for a half mile in the Kentucky Derby. Good for you. Well, and then you won't see your horse again for another year.
Well, I also think we should have a smaller field for the Derby, but that's just me.
Well, that's not going to happen.
No, that's
so. The other thing is the prep schedules have completely changed. If you talk about tradition, I love the tradition of going out to Keeneland on a Thursday, 9 days before the Kentucky Derby, to see the bluegrass. That was a tradition for many, many years. And they realized that they weren't getting any good horses anymore because training had changed. Nobody wanted to run 9 days before. They used to have the Derby trial on Saturday, and I think there was a race on a Wednesday before the Derby. Mm-hmm. So, everything else has changed, but we're going to leave the Triple Crown the way it has been for 30 or 40 years.
Yes, Ray. Yes, we are.
2 weeks and 3 weeks.
I mean, it's just
you're trying to pound a square peg into a round hole, and you have no rivalries. You have horses that run in the Derby, then they skip the Preakness, and then maybe they go in the Belmont, maybe they don't. I miss the Victory Gallop, Real Quiet rivalries, the Sunday Silence, Easy Goer rivalries, where they went in all three races. They went at it. How do we get back to that if we don't make some changes?
I mean, honestly, I think we're now in race to breed rather than breed to race. And I don't, just with that type of mentality, I don't know that you're ever going to be able to get a rivalry like that again. I don't see it. And I mean, we tried with like Authentic and, Tizela and stuff like that, but with everyone going in different directions, the thing about Sunday Silence and Easy Go Row was like that kind of developed because they were in all 3 Triple Crown races, which is great. But I'm trying to think of other examples since 1989. I guess real quiet. Yeah, I honestly don't know, because I think if you can just either tweak the point system, or I don't know. The problem is just changing the calendar, because if you're going to change the calendar for the prep races, or if you're going to change Triple Crown races, then you change the calendar for the preps, and then you change the calendar for everything else after that. I just don't see that happening. That's the problem.
In terms of developing rivalries, people are so precious with their schedules now, sometimes rightfully so. A active campaign for a 3-year-old anymore, if you get 6 starts out of them in a year,
that's a lot.
That can be a lot for some horses. And it's hard to butt heads with certain horses to create that kind of rivalry in that kind of system. That's a horse that ran in the Triple Crown, your Sunday Silence rivalry there. Those horses ran after the Triple Crown against each other. A lot of horses go their separate ways after that, or they go into, a lot of them become milers anymore. We have a lot of very good milers running in the Triple Crown anymore. And it's the kind of thing that they just don't have as many opportunities to butt heads against each other, mostly because of connection decisions. It's not necessarily their fault. You put your horse in the best position to win races. I get it. But in terms of producing rivalries that, draw interest in the sport, it kind of hurts a bit.
Well, it's the race to breed mentality. It's like you're only putting your horse in position to win. So you're not going to put them in a race where they're going to possibly lose to another horse, even if it's a good horse, like a Authentic and Tizela. It didn't really hurt Tizela's stallion prospects to lose to Authentic, right? But well, there's not a lot of owners that are going to let that happen, just because they know there's too many stallion deals that are dependent on a winning record.
It's become asset management, unfortunately. Although they can duck each other on the road to the Derby and maybe after the Derby, but they all do have to go in the Derby, and that's the one thing that's not going to change, except for Rombauer, of course. He did skip the Derby. That was a weird one.
Well, we found our way out. Done.
But for those of us who want to see change, I don't think you're not going to move the Kentucky Derby off the first Saturday in May. You're not going to move it from 1.25 miles because they've already got starting gate suites up there they've sold. So that's not going to change. I think Wayne Lucas was the first one to call for the Derby at 1 1/8 miles, the Preakness at 1 3/16 miles, and the Belmont at 1.25 miles. Wayne Lucas.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
I don't like that either. So you're not going to move the Derby, but there are a lot of people are saying, well, let's just go first Saturday in May, first Saturday in June, first Saturday in July for the 3. Leave the distances the same. But, you have to talk to the TV people because there may be major sporting events like the Indy 500 around Memorial Day, which is close to the first Saturday in June. You don't know what else is available, or U.S. Open golf, that sort of thing that takes a priority on the
playoffs.
network.
We've got the NBA and NHL playoffs going on right now too.
And the French Open, because I watch tennis, and the French Open is going on right now, and then Wimbledon's going to be immediately after that.
Right. So it's if you want to change it, it's not necessarily doing it in a vacuum. You have to look at things. But I don't know. I just don't see how we're going to get back to those rivalries if you don't go in all 3 races. And I thought this was a particularly disappointing Triple Crown this year.
None of the horses ran in all 3 races, so by Steve Coburn rules, they're all cowards.
Oh my God.
I just want to get that out there.
I was like, I'm waiting for the Steve Coburn reference to come up because I knew that was because the fresh horses thing. I mean, that's part of Triple Crown, though, is if you can't beat fresh horses, then you're just not going to be a Triple Crown winner. I mean, I love Sunday Silence, but
if they're all cowards, it's okay. California Chrome did go in all three, but it was the cowards that beat him, right?
Yeah, Chrome might have been helped by not being stepped on at the starting gate, or having a different training schedule prior to the Belmont. I mean, there's a myriad of other things that could have happened. Nope,
cowards.
All right, so we're not going to resolve it here, but it looks like I'm outvoted 2-1 right now. Is that right?
Okay, so as a historian, I'm always interested in seeing how things develop and what people say. And all these conversations that we're having have been had almost every time there's a drought. I remember reading an article from, I think, 1968 that Johnny Longden, who won the Triple Crown on Count Fleet, was like, we need to change this because it's too hard, because he was worried about the training schedule for, it might be 69, for his horse, Majestic Prince. And I'm like, I mean, I get it. Every single time there's drought, or every single time there's this like lackluster Triple Crown, series of years, people are kind of like, yeah, maybe we should think about tweaking things. And it's like, I mean, I get it, especially now when it's so competitive out there. I get it, but I think one of the draws in Triple Crown, that's what draws lay people in, people who aren't already into the sport. They know those races. So if you change the schedule too much, you're going to lose a segment of people that's how I got into the horse racing, is the Triple Crown.
Well, and I'll just throw this in too, that last year when the order was mixed up, TV ratings were down, wagering was way down on, especially the Derby was way off. I think the Belmont numbers were actually okay, but they were compared to a non-Triple Crown year, I think, too. So.
Right. Well, also, if you look at the English Triple Crown and how they do it, they've got...
They don't really have a Triple Crown.
But they've always had the same
I mean, name they do, but nobody cares about the St. Leger. It's a 2-mile race that nobody cares about.
In September. And so like the last one was 50 years ago. So it's like if we do too much of a separation, you're going to get that lack of interest anyway. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for joining us to talk about this. Welcome to the Paulick Report. And we'll be right back with the Star of the Week. But Joe, guess whose opening day is this Saturday?
I have a good guess, but why don't you tell me, Ray?
It's our friends at Woodbine up in Canada. It's been a long winter and spring. COVID was a real problem up there, but they got clearance to finally open the meeting. Saturday's 11 race card starts at 1:20, and I can't wait to get back up to Woodbine, one of the premier tracks in the country.
Fun place.
And happily enough, they're the sponsor of our Star of the Week.
Max Sweeney, now John Leaper's under pressure, Mojo Star, and also on the inside Adea are running mighty races. Adea sneaks through on the inside, pursued by Hurricane Lane. Mojo Star, then Max Sweeney, who is under pressure. Adea for Adam Kirby, leads the Derby field by 2 lengths. In second is Mojo Star, in third is Hurricane Lane, but it is Adea who is 3 lengths clear in the Derby, in the Godolphin colours, leading by 3 lengths from Mojo Star. In third place is Hurricane Lane, a dream for Adam Kirby. The musical jockey stairs stopped, and he landed the winner on Adea for Charlie Appleby and Godolphin. Mojo Star, the maiden, in second. In third was Hurricane Lane. In fourth place, Max Sweeney.
A 1-3 finish for Godolphin in the Kazoo Derby, I guess it's pronounced, the Epsom Derby. And they won a race at Belmont Park on the same day. I think it was the 11th race in the day, the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah, I think they won a couple. I think they won a couple actually, but yeah, I think that's the big one.
And 1-2 in the Just a Game with Althea and Summer Romance, 3 Group 1 wins, 2 classics on the same day. A phenomenal day for Godolphin.
Absolutely, and kind of interesting with the Epsom Derby. It's kind of unusual to see the Godolphin horse in the red cap actually win the big races. It seems like they usually save the blue and white caps that match better with their colors for their kind of, first stringers, and then whoever else they have in the field kind of gets the red or green caps or whatever else they have left in the jocks room. So to see the red cap in the winner's circle, kind of, I don't know what the odds were on that one, but kind of unusual to see.
So in other words, the other Godolphin, right? That's
the other Godolphin, actually.
Yeah. Oh, there were two others.
Yeah. There's a blue cap, there was a white cap, and there was a red cap.
Yeah. Well, a phenomenal day for Godolphin. They have not exactly got the deepest record in terms of victories in classic races in the United States. I think Essential Quality was the first, and this was their second Epsom Derby, I believe. Yeah,
I think so. But what a fantastic one to get, especially stateside. Essential Quality has been the class of his division from the jump. Obviously, last year's champion, 2-year-old male, won the Bluegrass, ran a very gritty fourth in the Kentucky Derby, wide all the way around. Gets the job done here. Obviously, a son of Tappet. As I tweeted it out after the race, breed to Tappet, win the Belmont, easy game. And it's just, it's good to see. You like to see a horse like Essential Quality do well. Like we'd mentioned in the earlier segment, we need good horses performing well on high stages. And I know a lot of people are trying to push the Essential Quality Hot Rod Charlie rivalry debate. This is how seeds get planted. Let's see how the summer goes.
Yeah, that was. I think Essential Quality sort of restored some order to, to the Triple Crown, to the 3-year-olds, and we were talking earlier about rivalries. Maybe we have one with Hot Rod Charlie. He did finish. You got to win him once in a while to have it a true rivalry, but he's run well twice now against Essential Quality, 3 times rather.
Yeah. And looking at the Justa game, Godolphin horses finishing 1-2 for trainer Charlie Appleby, both horses making their first North American starts. Heck of a rail move by Mike Smith in that one aboard Althika. Just a really bold move to beat the stablemate Southern Romance. The kind of thing where Althika's a small horse, and I think the hole that was available on the rail was only there for a small horse. So it was smart and pretty brave of Mike to make that move.
Actually, Mike said he was ready to tip to the outside, and he says, and the horse wanted to go through the hole, so I let her. So we can give Mike credit. That's okay.
Hey, but anyone who wants to take credit for that, they deserve it. That was a nice trip.
It was a smart move, whoever made the decision. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Friday Show, brought to you by Monmouth Park. Again, Twilight Racing Friday, big card on Saturday with the Salvatore Mile, and Sunday we might get a chance to see some of the top 3-year-olds prepping for the Haskell. Speaking of the Haskell, make your plans now. The Haskell is one of the best days of racing all across the country all year. Be sure to, if you haven't been to the Haskell, get there and watch it this year. And that's going to do it. We'll see you next week.